All right, good morning, guys. This is Mrs. Smith, and I wish I could see you all in person, but because I can't, we're going to do this video and we're going to work through it. So today we're going to do a review lesson that's going to get you ready for your quiz. All right, and you can take your quiz as soon as you watch the review lesson. That's all up to you as long as I get it turned in by Wednesday. There's just a couple things that you need to remember. Number one, formulas for area of you need to know the formulas for the area of a parallelogram, triangle, kite, and trapezoid. Write them down. Have them on a piece of paper so you can refer to them during the quiz. That way you won't get confused. And then you need to know how to convert from square inches to square feet or square feet to square inches. And I'm going to cover that in a little more detail in this video. So hopefully you have a better understanding of it. And then don't forget to always start with the formula, and your final answer will always be in square units. All right? And I cannot stress enough that you need to always start with the formula. I'm telling you, it will save you a lot of headache. All right? So always start with the formula. All right, let's go ahead and practice now. We're going to be practice finding the area of several different shapes that you might be asked to do on your quiz. All right, this first shape is what? It's a trapezoid, that's right. So what's the formula for the area of a trapezoid? If you don't remember, and it would be good if you could remember them all, but I would write them down then. A equals 1/2 of the height times base 1 plus base 2. All right, so now I'm going to plug in my numbers, and my height is always associated with the right angle, so it's 1/2. 4, my base is 12 plus 6, and the bases are always parallel to one another. Now let's go ahead and finish multiplying. 1/2. 4 we're going to keep for right now, and we're going to multiply that times 12 plus 6, which is 18. Now I would find half of 18, and I would get 9, and 9 times 4 will be 36 meters squared. So my area is equal to 36 meters squared. All right, now the other shape that you need to know about is a kite. And a couple of things that you need to really keep in mind when you're working with a kite is you need to remember that we're going to divide the kite going this way where we have triangles that have equal sides. If you did it the other way, it's not as easy. So if you'll just divide it this way and have triangles of equal sides. They call them adjacent sides. That means they have the same. All right, so let's go ahead and let's write our formula again for a kite. This time it's actually going to be a combination. All right, so we're going to find the area is equal to the area of the first triangle, and that's going to be 1/2 B times H, plus the area of triangle number 2, 1/2 B times H. All right, so let's go ahead, and for this first one, I've got 1/2. My base, and they put half of it on this side and half of the other, so I'm just going to combine them. Remember your base, so 8 plus 8 is 16, times my height. And my height, we're going to do the smaller triangle first. My height is 7 inches. Plus, I have 1/2. My base is still going to be 16 times my height of my larger triangle, which is 14. All right, so 1/2 of 16 is 8, and 8 times 7 is 56. Plus, half of 16, again, is 8. And 8 times 14 is 120. 12. And when I add those two together, I'm going to get 168 inches squared. All right, now to find the area of a triangle. All right, let's write our formula first. A equals 1/2 of the base times the height. Remember, because a triangle is half of a parallelogram, all we have to do is take our formula for a parallelogram and cut it in half. All right, so we're going to keep our 1/2. Our base in this case is 20. So 1/2 of 20 times our height, which is 12. I would find half of 20, that's 10 times 12. 10 times 12 is 120 inches squared. So A equals 120 inches squared. All right, let's go ahead now and let's find the area of our parallelogram. All right, so again, start with your formula. A equals B times H. A equals 8 times 6. And A equals 48 meters squared. All right, now I also want you to remember how to find a missing dimension. All right, so I would always start with my formula. This is a parallelogram, so I'm going to start, whoops, hold on. All right, so I'm going to start with my formula for the area of a parallelogram. A equals BH. Now, I know the area, so I can fill that in. 300 inches squared is equal to, I also know my base, 25 times H. Remember, we're going to treat this like an algebraic equation. We want H to solve for H or H to stand alone, so I've got to get rid of this 25. So I'm going to do that by doing the opposite. They want me to multiply 25 times H, but I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to divide. So whatever I do to one side of the equation, I have to do the other. So when I divide both sides by 25, that leaves me with H equal to, and how many times can 25 go into 300? It can go in there 12 times. So my answer is 12 inches. Remember, this number is not going to be squared because it is not area. It's just a missing dimension. All right, now I know this is the part of the lesson that you all have been waiting for, and that is converting measures. All right, and there's just a couple things, a couple steps basically that you need to follow. Number one, you need to solve the problem for area as normal. Plugging in your formula and all of your numbers and solve for area as normal. Then you're going to decide if you're going to multiply or divide to convert. And remember, we know how to do that. Remember when you were in elementary school in the younger grades, you did a 1, 2, 3, and you said, am I going to multiply or divide? And then for the second part, you had to come up with what they called a special number. Well, we're going to call it now the conversion factor. All right, so you're going to be doing the same things, and then you would solve it using the conversion factor and whatever you decided you were going to do, multiply or divide. All right, so that's what we're going to do, and we're going to practice doing it now. Now, I decided to use the problems that I had given you to do on that one assignment, 7.3, and I decided we're going to go ahead and do the first two. We're not going to worry about the one that was in metrics to convert it, and then we're just going to focus on the English measurements for right now. We did learn how to do that a few months back, but Let's just focus on the English measurements for right now. So I can tell by base 1, base 2 that I'm finding the area of a trapezoid. So I'm going to start with my formula. A equals 1/2 of the height times base 1 plus base 2. I'm going to go ahead and solve as normal. 1/2 of the height is 1/2 times 6. My first base is 9. My second is 12. I'm going to take care of what's in parentheses first, and I have 9 plus 12 is 21. So 1/2 of 6 is 3 times 21. My area is equal to 63 inches squared. All right, now I'm going to take that 63 inches squared, and they wanted me to change them to square feet. All right, now remember our 1, 2, 3 that we talked about earlier. If you are going from inches to feet, smaller to larger, we're going to multiply or divide. We're going to divide. You aren't going to need as many feet as you do inches because they are a larger unit of measure. Okay, now to find the conversion factor, all right? And it's not just how many inches are in a foot, it's how many square inches are in a square foot. So in order to do that, what I recommend you do is just draw a square. And if you have 1 foot by 1 foot, that would be 1 foot squared, right, to find the area. Well, let's just convert our foot now to inches. 12 inches are in a foot. So if I square 12 times 12, I'm going to get 144 inches squared. All right, so that's going to be my conversion factor. It's 144 inches squared. Now I have to solve, but I'm dividing. So I'm going to divide 63 by 144. All right, so if I'm going to do that, I need to find a number that can go into both 63 and 144. So what am I going to divide both the numerator and the denominator by? Well, as soon as I saw 63, the largest number I thought of was 9. So I'm going to see if 9 can go into my denominator. And we add up our digits. 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. 9 can go into 9. Remember our divisibility rules that we learned? So I'm going to divide by 9 over 9. 63 divided by 9 is 7. 144 divided by 9 is 16. So my answer is 7/16 feet squared. All right, now let's try it with our second one here. All right, I'm going to use my same formula of A equals 1/2 H times B1 plus B2. All right, and 1/2, let's fill in our numbers now, times 12, and my bases are 5 plus 7. All right, so I have 1/2 times 12 times, what is 5 plus 7? It too is 12. So I'm going to half 12, and I'm going to get 6 times 12 is 72. So my answer is 72 yards square for the area of this trapezoid. 72 yards squared. I'm now going to convert those 72 yards into feet squared. All right, remember we did our 1, 2, 3 before. You can still do that. Am I going to multiply or divide? That's the first thing. If I'm going from a larger measurement to a smaller, I multiply. I'm going to have more feet. than I do yards because feet are smaller. Now, I'm going to do the same thing I did before for my conversion factor, but this time I'm going to use 1 yard by 1 yard. All right, and if I convert a yard to feet, there's 3 feet in a yard. 3 times 3 is 9 feet squared. So that's going to be my conversion factor. So now I know I'm multiplying by 9 feet squared. So I'm going to come over here to my 72. I'm going to set up a really simple multiplication problem. 72 times 9, and I'm going to get 648. So my answer is going to be 648 feet squared. All right, let's try one more. All right, this time we're going to just do a parallelogram. We have height and base. So let's go ahead and let's write our formula A equals B times H. All right, and when we do that, we're going to get A equals 9 times 12. So my area is going to be what? 108 yards squared. All right, now let's convert 108 yards squared to feet squared. And if you need to draw your box again, or you need to do your 1, 2, 3, do whatever works for you. Yards to feet, larger to smaller, multiply. Conversion factor, if you need to draw yourself a picture, by all means do it. A yard squared is 1 yard by 1 yard. And when I convert it to feet, that's the same thing as saying 3 feet by 3 feet. So I'm going to be using 9 feet squared. So again, I'm going to come over and I'm going to do a simple multiplication problem. I'm going to multiply 108 yards times 9 yards squared. And I'm going to get 972 feet squared.